Welcome everybody. Tonight's rendition it's in the details on the Tucker special. And I'm kind of it'll come out at a reasonable weight. So we're just going to do the basic things and I'm going to explain to you exactly what I've done today and kind of go over some things. Let's see here if I can get into the Creator Studio board. Come on. Create. Oh, we want to get into that. So I need to be able to control the stream and there we go. 4 current viewers, 2 likes. Hey, thanks a lot already. Let me get this over here. Okay, the chat box is open. You can go ahead and type me a question or whatever. But today, what I'm going to do, you notice I have these stencils. Well, I have a sign plotter. And it's a vinyl cutter. There's many ways you can do it. Cheap sign plotters are available on Amazon. I have a prosumer type cutter where I can cut big stuff, but mostly what I'm cutting is this little stuff, which many of you seen me do, and I've done several videos on the US cutter. It's very simple to use. And what I've done is I've put the decals on, the stencils on, and I'm going to paint them now. One of the things with painting these stencils is you don't want to use a lot of paint. So HVLP gun, airbrush, whatever. You want to bring the, well, we've got a leaker here. Just kind of want to mist it on, get it covered. That's it for that. Same with this side. You could put a second coat on it, but I don't suggest doing it because it makes it too thick. And that's all it takes. We dump this out. Yeah. And I can see right now that we're not going to be painting clear this weekend. I thought we were going to paint clear, but it's raining outside, and this gun I have is a leaker. I just rebuilt it, and it's leaking like a sieve. The packings are gone. But it's a cheap Harbor Freight gun. I think they're $35 or $36. They do spray nice. It's just that it leaks. And I don't want to take a chance. And I cleaned it really good because I thought I was going to be doing clear today. I don't want to take a chance of having a splurt come out of it. So I'm going to have to, we got that job done anyway. Thank you, Scott, for the super chat. Really much appreciated. Get feet wiped up here. Oh boy. Sorry about that, but got paint on the floor. Gotta get it up. You can see I have checkerboard tile in here. Lots of outstanding. Oh, looks outstanding. Thank you, Mike. All right, we're going to demask this. Now, there's a couple of schools of thought on this. Some people say, well, you can't demask it right now, blah, blah, blah. I don't let it completely harden, because what happens is it flakes off if you let it dry or whatever. Pull the stencil back on itself. If you pull it straight up, you stand a chance of pulling paint off. So try to roll the stencil back on itself. I've got a few things I'm going to do to try to make it look more scale-like. I'm going to add the nose gold and the black stripes down the side. Not tonight, but I will be doing that. I would say I'm still a good month out from finishing this. Now you think, well, you're done. No. John and I were talking today. Most people think the sanding's over. No, the hard sanding has just begun. The detail sanding, the fine sanding is much harder to do than the rough sanding. But this is how you get professional results. And I mean, it's real repetitive, repeatable. We used to tape these off back in the day. Each letter painstakingly taped off. But now it's just a matter of a couple of flicks and whoop, you're done. You can buy a Cricut. You can buy several different small sign plotters that hook your computer and use vinyl stencil material. The blue Oracle film is the best. This is the painstaking part right here. It gives me the willies when I do this. You take the blade of your knife, and we're going to have to pick out the center sections, and boy, you could go through the covering in a heartbeat. So take a breath. I'm sorry for being silent, but I gotta really pay attention to what I'm doing so I don't poke a hole in the covering. Steady hand, just like a surgeon. like picking a scab. Okay, we're still at 39 ounces because I haven't added any weight per se. Now we're going to talk about clears. I got the lowdown from the factory on why clear dope is tinted amber. I said, hey, you guys keep tinting this dope amber, and what happens is that when you paint your airplane come summertime, and if you're using white, it's really noticeable. You set your airplane out on the tarmac and it's in the sun, the airplane turns yellow, like you were set it in a smoking area. Why do you guys do that? Is it some type of UV protection? No. Can anybody tell me why they do that? They put the tint in the clear? Blew my mind. I'll give us a minute here. Give me an answer in the chat box if you know why they tint the clear amber. And it's the dumbest reason I ever heard of. Well, it looks like I've stumped everybody. They tint the clear amber so that you can see where you painted. What do you think? What about so you know when you explain it? Fly. Let's see here. Me again. What do you think of silk to cover the wings? About no, amber does not brighten detail. Just Fly has got it right. So you know where you've applied it. It's stupid. Absolutely stupid. But okay. But there is a solution. And that solution is non-tautenting clear butyrate dope. Untinted, non-tautenting clear butyrate dope. So we're going to see how that works. That is the Brodak Crystal Clear. Now, I got to tell you, I have nothing against Brodak. I think Brodak's been wonderful for our sport, hobby, whatever. But I've ordered Crystal Clear twice now from Brodak, and both times they were amber and thick, just like peanut butter. So I don't know if I just got a bad batch or whatever, but I haven't had any luck with their Crystal Clear. But I got a gallon of Crystal Clear Randolph non-tautenting dope in the car, and I'm not going to open it until I get back to Dayton, and we're going to see what it looks like. Now, as I stated, I was going to clear this today, or try to get some clear on it, but it's raining, humidity's up too high. I don't want to blush it. I mean, we have seen Wendy and Bob Brookins paint in the garage in a rainstorm with no blushing. I don't know how they do it, but I can't get away with that. So today, what I did was, if you had looked at the airplane yesterday, I had some spots in the wing where the gold was not perfect. I went around flaked off the nibs and taped it off and sprayed the gold. And I fixed all the red areas where I needed to address any problems. You know, I could spend another 6 months on this if you wanted to get. I mean, because I see a tiny little dot there, the speck of, you know, the size of a head of, not even, it's smaller than the head of a pin. But I figure when I get the clear on it and wet sand this thing, it'll be fine. Now, if you listen here, last night, it was real rough. Well, I didn't have any 1500 paper, but I had triple-aught stainless steel wool. And I steel wooled this whole airplane. We got it smooth now. So, I mean, it's not baby butt smooth, but I don't want to take any. You can't sand gold, whether you know that or not. Any type of metallic, do not sand it until you get clear coat on it. But I knocked the edges off. So that turned out pretty well. Products. Let me show you this stuff that I use in. I've been using out of this can for 5 years. I don't even know that you can get anymore. It's Finish One FC720. This is urethane. It's Acme. Reminds me of the Roadrunner. But this can has lasted me 5 years. Normally what happens is you buy the hardener, and this hardener is $27 for this little can. Well, it was. I don't know what it is now. It might be $50. This was 20 something. This is $50, a little over $50 worth here. But this hardener goes bad. The minute you crack the top, it has nitrogen inside. The nitrogen leaks out and the hardener hardens up. For some reason, I got a can of hardener. This is FH611 Acme Finish One. This can is 5 years old. It's been used. I've used it with this quart. This quart is probably down to here now. But it's still liquid. It's amazing. Usually what happens is this becomes a rock. So they probably changed the formula on us again, where you can keep this stuff, and it's not been refrigerated. It's not been any special. It's been sitting on the shelf. Crack it, use it, put it back on the shelf. So I got to bring this back to date. And this is the clear that I use for the nose. Anybody who has seen my airplanes up close and personal know that you can't tell the difference between the dope and the transition to this product here. And the reason I use this inside the cowling, on the nose, and I'll shoot the leading edge sometimes so that it hardens it up. Now, the correct answer to blending all this stuff is grease. It's elbow grease. I keep explaining to you guys, this airplane looks the way it does for the simple fact that the hundreds of hours of, cutting the wood and gluing it together is not building an airplane. Building the airplane is sitting down and sanding, candling, getting everything symmetrical. But the hundreds of hours of sanding in this, and the hardest sanding is yet to come. That's where I'm going to shoot the clear on it, ink it, shoot the clear, sand it, ink it, shoot another coat of clear on it, lightly sand it, shoot another coat of clear on it, really sand it, put a flow coat of clear on it, sand it, and add my clear urethane to the nose, and then sand and blend everything together. And that finished sanding starts out with 1,000 grit, and here again, you have to have an eye. Get your light focused on the airplane, because 1,000 grit sandpaper will leave craters in clear dope. I mean, it just scratches the crap out of it. So 1,000 grit on a soft block that I've shown you several times will get it leveled off. Then you go down to 1,500, and that starts polishing it off. You don't have to use the block, the soft block. I use that a lot, but I do it open-handed. I use the Windex as lubricant. The old school method of wet sanding was warm water with a few drops of dish soap. That does work. Windex works better, I think. Wendy always liked to use Prepsol, or I can't remember, M600. That's what it was, M600. To me, that's grinding some type of chemical down into the paint, so I just use the Windex or water with soap. But you progress to 1,500, and then when you get all the scratches out from the 1,000 grit sanding, you go to 2,000, and 2,000 is like rubbing it with a piece of notebook paper, but you think, well, hey, that's the whole airplane. You're going over the whole thing. Then after you get it done with 2,000, you're going to go get a 5,000 grit sanding pad from AutoZone. It's about $10. I've showed them. I don't have one handy here because they don't last long. It's about yay wide, 6 inches long, and it's a foam pad that's gritted with, looks like polishing rouge, but it's 5,000 grit. So you're going to sand the whole thing out, and you really can't sand with 5,000 until the dope is cured. It turns a milky bone color. The whole thing, you'll think, well, God, I ruined my whole airplane. The finish is gone. Yep, it is. But then you get out the polisher and you start polishing. You start with the rubbing compound, and then you go to a machine polishing company compound. I use Finesse It. You think, well, this 3M Finesse, it's about $30 for this little bottle here, but this goes a long ways. It'll last you quite a while. Do 8, 10 airplanes. You can't really hand rub urethane. It's too hard. Unless you do like I do, the minute that you get done spraying and it tacks up that it's hard enough, start sanding it, then you can hand polish it. Otherwise it gets too hard. You have to machine polish it. Use your drill, whatever. But that's where you're going to blend this. The blend is right here, but if you spray, when you spray this with the urethane, start at the nose and then turn your wrist back and flick your wrist and let that overspray go in this direction after you've got the clear on this thing, so that the urethane will level. But you're going to take and flick your wrist. They do sell a blending thinner, but I'm not real hip on that. I just use elbow grease. So we got any questions on what's going on? I showed you how I got a little dent right here. Let's talk about this dent. I'm hoping that when I clear this and I hit it with a heat gun, it'll come out of there. But I've been heating it, and what that dent came from was my knuckle. And why it got in there is that this dope is fresh and soft. And when I was prying the paper or whatever, my knuckle, and it's a little tiny dent about the size of a BB, driving me crazy. I'm hoping that when I clear this and heat this with a heat gun, you see it's coming out now. We'll just keep working it until it completely comes out. It's out now, but it'll come back here in a second. As it cools, it comes back. But when I clear that, I'll heat it with it. Keep doing that until that's gone. It all depends on what you want out of this hobby. Nobody has to build an airplane like this or anything like I do, but if you want to create a piece of artwork, just be prepared that it's going to take a few hundred hours. I told you when I started this project it was an hour a day till finished. Well, we did real good up until the finished work, but because I have to be here and can't paint there, I have to make hay when the sun shines. We got 20 people watching and I only got 7 thumbs up. Hit that like button, guys. Like, subscribe, and share. We've done real good on these streams as far as growing the channel. I think I got 34 subscribers, 21 watching now, and I really appreciate the support and the help in making the channel grow. I am trying to get more people interested in control line stunt. And that's what it's going to look like from behind. Da, 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 da. Yeah, that's better. That's not a Williams Brothers pilot. That's a hand-carved balsa pilot. 2 grams. If you guys remember, I have a Mattel vacuform that I bought off eBay. 1969, they were 20 bucks. 2005, $75. But I bought a Mattel vacuform and I took Williams Brothers pilots and I was making pilots with vacuform. They weighed 2 grams or whatever. Thanks for the thumbs up. We got 11. We only got about 9 more to go. Hit that like button. I was, molding pilots, but the problem with those little thin molded shells is that the pilots were flimsy. When the sun would heat down on them, they'd kind of just swither and melt. And I wanted something a little more substantial. So that pilot was carved by Tommy Looper, the world's greatest pilot carver. He carved me another pilot I showed a while back. It looked like Clark Gable. Pretty good pilot carver. He said, well, you could do that. I don't think so. And, that's just some amazing work. I'm probably going to put some epoxy in the lenses of the glasses before I put them in so they got a nice shine. Let's see, Randolph colored butyrate dope. Is the Randolph colored butyrate dope non-tauntning? If so, what if I tinted or dyed the tauntning clear to put a finish on a plane? They sell tauntning or non-tauntning. You can get colored dope either way, tauntning or non-tauntning. I always use tauntning. everything I've used, except for we're going to try this top coat, this clear that's non-tauntering. This is all tauntering dope. The clear that's going to go over this is going to be it might be a disaster. I might ruin this airplane. I don't think so, but you know, I'm kind of at a stage right now where one small mistake, and I just take this up, wad it up, put it in the can out back, and you've lost all that time. So you kind of want to, you know, don't make any harsh judgments. At this stage of the game. As I stated, I wanted to, you know, I like real flashy paint jobs. A lot of guys have seen that I do a real nice scallop swoop on the nose and different designs on the wings. And this is pretty plain, basic, straightforward, but that's how they were in the 60s. They were, the original Tucker was orange and Dana cream. You're welcome, Scott. The original Tucker was orange and Dana cream. The whole airplane, and black. It had black numbers on it. But the whole airplane was orange, black numbers, and all it had for trim was Dana cream. A scallop right here, Dana cream, and it went back this way, and that's it. You can see that paint job on Outer Zone. However, it's not in color. It's only in black and white. But there's one of these airplanes, original airplanes, hanging on in Schaefer's Hobby, and it's black and Dana cream. Same paint scheme, all black, Dana cream. I just wanted my airplane to look like what it was designed after, the MC-72. Bob Tucker liked the look of the Schneider racers, which it's all right. They do get rid of some parts, though. They get rid of the tail strut and all the tail mounting rigmarole and the piece of, you know, the piece of wire, the wheel, and all that business back there, where the rudder weighed 7 grams without a, you know, without a piece of wire. So if you think about it, you built this airplane, the rudder's going to weigh 7 grams. Then you're going to add a tail wheel wire. It's going to be another 7 grams, plus a wheel, plus the plywood, plus the epoxy to put the crap in there. So that's why Tucker decided that he would go with something along these lines. Plus the, you know, it kind of fits. The layout of the airplane basically looks like a Schneider racer. And it'll really pop when it gets the clear on it. Of course, I got to get the green and the red on the rudder. The red on the rudder will be Cadillac red. So it's a darker red with the green first stripe, then a white stripe. Then I have to see about getting a printer that I can make an Italian crest, because it goes on the white stripe in the center. I don't know. I might put the Santa Pua decal on there if I can get a printer that'll print a decal worth a darn. A lot of guys like Phil Granderson, he does all his graphics with decals. The only problem I have with decal graphics is, boy, you better be careful getting them on. I guess there's a way to get them on by floating them with water, soap, so you can move them around and then squeegee out all the air bubbles. For most guys, it's just put it together, don't bother sand it, just paint it, the grain showing through, it doesn't matter, and go fly. Well, the airplane doesn't last long enough to much, you know, matter. But you figure this airplane's shelf life will be probably at least 10 years, because I'm looking at 15 on that one, or 10 on this one, 4 on the one in there, the one in one's in Dayton. You know, if you're going to build light, build your airplane with enough wood, enough wood structure to last one season. And anything after one season's a bonus. So if it lasts more than a year, you're a winner, because you're always continually, refreshing your stock. Not that they wear out, it's just they become imperfect, so to speak. I'll bring this airplane down off the wall here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Well, this airplane that's behind me hanging on the wall, the Continental, is my favorite airplane as far as looks go, because of sentimental value. It is by far not my most perfect paint job. The paint's rubbing off, or it might have a little imperfection in the nose, and that might be well and good for some people. But that type of thing, when I take it out to the field and set it down on the ground, nobody sees it except me, and it drives me nuts. Oh, I got to get it back and got to get it fixed. But I'm not going to bother with this airplane, because it's just not, it's a good looker. It's not the great performer that it needs to be. It flies all right. You can muscle it through a pattern okay. The one that I really screwed up on is the Nobler that I built on this channel. The last one, the white Nobler. I sold it to my boss. And when you see this thing fly, it's unbelievable. It's 40 ounces. It's got a lightning corner and lock. So nice. I go, shit. I sold it cheap. So give me a thought of what you'd like to hear. Type something in the chat box and I'll talk about it. Because like I say, at this point, this is where you got to kind of slow down and pay attention, because you could throw it all away from here. And this did turn out pretty nice. It's straight, sanded pretty well, relatively light. I'd rather, it's 39 ounces in this state with everything on the propeller and the everything. I'd rather be at 35 ounces at this state, but we did add the foam leading edge, so they got rid of them starved horse look on the leading edge, and that'll look real nice when it's polished. Pretty darn symmetrical. The fits are good. Let's talk about wheel weight. John and I were talking about the 3-ounce elevator stabilizer. Well, these smaller ones are built anywhere from 1 3/4 ounces. Let's see what that says. Beginner plane recommendation, do's and don'ts. There you go. Beginner airplane. Well, let me get the wheel weights first, and then I'll explain beginner airplane. We started out with a big airplane stabilizer elevator. We can't build one lighter than 3 ounces. It's just, that's the limit. It's kind of like the ounce per inch rule. Well, the same is true whether it's a big airplane or an airplane of this size. Wheel system is going to weigh 3 ounces. Period. Whether you have a carbon fiber wheel set up landing gear, wheel pants, wheels. It's going to be 3 ounces. You have a piano wire wheel, landing gear and wheel pants and wheels. It's going to be 3 ounces. The only way to get away from that is wheel doors, and they don't look as good, especially on a classic airplane. So if you keep your wheel weights, landing gear set up at 3 ounces, you're going to be fine. If you start going over 3 ounces, you're going to induce some things into the airplane where the weight hanging down below the vertical center of gravity will start causing funny aberrations like so as it flies. Now, beginner airplane recommendations. Well, seeing that I'm from the old school, the trophy trainer, that one is fair, but a magician flies better than a trophy trainer. It's a dorky looking, ugly airplane. But that's a kit airplane you can get. There are better ways to go than a kit. And I'd be more than happy to share those numbers with you guys if you'd like. But you can take a foam wing, a built-up wing of the SV lineage, the Vector, which is a little smaller. I like kit building. Okay. Kit building, what would be good? A profile or built up? Vector is a great, actually, a Vector is more an intermediate to advanced, because you could even go into expert with a Vector, but when you say beginner, I'm thinking more along the profile lines. All around fun fly airplane is a Ringmaster, Flight Streak, one of those profiles. P-50, I take that back. I remember having problems with P-51s, the Sterling P-51s and the Yak-9s and some of those things. But there was a bunch of kits back in the day, the Buster, the Shoestring. There's one other one, there was that yellow one. They all work. Well, everything works. Everything works, and everything will fly well if it's light, straight, and rigid. For me, most importantly, is light, because you can overcome a lot of problems just by being light. I can't hardly stress that enough. Everybody says, well, you're a weight nut or whatever. Fly enough airplanes. I didn't used to be the way that I am now until I got, the guy who originally flew this airplane, Ron O'Toole, and I flew together years ago, and he just said, it's all about weight, it's all about weight. And I said, well, you're a nut. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it does. It really is all about weight. This airplane at 40 ounces is overweight. Should be 36, but because I'm using this engine, we're giving up 2 ounces right off the top. And I don't have that. Here's why this airplane is 40 ounces instead of 36. 2 ounces here on the engine, 1 ounce on the foam leading edge. So that's 3 ounces that I'm behind. And the wood of today is nowhere near like the wood of yesteryear. We just don't have that really outstanding wood. However, the lighter the wood, the harder they are to handle. You got to be so very careful with them. But the beginner airplanes, the franchise twister would be all right. Take a twister, lengthen the tail moment. All these plans are modifications are available on Stun Hanger. They anything will help it fly. Where everybody's going to longer tail moments. If you looked at my Junar XL, it only has a 16-inch tail moment, 10-inch nose moment, 16-inch tail moment. The motors move back 3/4 of an inch. So effectively, it's 9 1/4 nose moment with a 16-inch tail moment. I personally, and I built three airplanes in the Junar series testing. The XL, which was the best of them. First off, it was the lightest, 58 ounces, 16-inch tail moment. Next one was the High Roller. It had a 17-inch tail moment, not changing the nose moment at all, but it was 62 ounces. And the third one, which I switched directions, I sold that airplane, had an 18-inch tail moment. Will it work and will it fly? Absolutely. Will it balance? Absolutely. It's just not what I want to do. What I want to do is go back to the 60s, I guess, where they flew and turned. Now these airplanes mush through the corner. And I don't care. These guys will argue with me 1,000 times. No, we got big bell cranks and big control horns and big tail moments so that we can get it to go around the corner. Well, damn, if it was a pound lighter, it would go around the corner a foot shorter. So that's why I changed direction, and I doubt that I get it done for this season because of this airplane. But I'm going to take the Junar wing. We're going to take the Junar XL wing, shape it like this, take my Junar fuselage and shape it like this in the elevator and shape it like that. So we're going to have a Junar Tucker. So it would be the J Tucker or the JMC 72. But the reason I want to do that is so that the airplanes look the same on the end of the lines. The bad thing, and I do want to fly more events this year. I want to be able to fly Profile, Classic, and Pampa. Because if you drive to Pennsylvania and you're only there for 2 flights, you're there for a week for 2 flights. You drive to the Nationals and let's say you don't make the cut. You're there for a week, you get 4 flights. And even if you make top 20, you're there for a week and get 6 flights. Any of these contests that you go to, if you don't fly another event, you're only going to get 2 flights and a practice flight or a couple of practice flights or whatever. You just, I'm going to maximize my flying time this year. So when I go to Joe and all, I can fly 6 flights plus practice flights. Or when I go to the Nats, I can fly 6 flights plus practice flights. If that makes any sense, because you're going anyway, you might as well do something besides BS each other about how light your airplane is. And I got a picture on my phone of a real nice looking airplane, and the guy says 67 ounces. Well, at least he didn't lie and say 57, because I'd have totally known that was BS. But I'll tell you, by the size of the fuselage and the shine on this airplane, I'll bet he's exaggerating by 20 ounces. It probably is 87 ounces. But, I will tell you the actual true weights matter. I'll weigh it on camera or whatever. It doesn't matter to me because, I can preach all day long. If they don't perform, they don't perform. Any questions? I'm waiting on a question. Type it in the chat box. Throw me a question. I'll talk about it for a while. I'm only going to stay on about another 10 minutes, nine minutes. I'm trying to shorten these videos up, but because these are, I don't know, I hope they're educational to everybody. But I'm not really showing any techniques or how-tos or whatever on these. I'm only stating my opinion. And by no means is my opinion gospel, because I've never won the nationals. I'm not a world champion. I'm just a builder. You want to know how to build an airplane, you can ask me, and I'll show you. But the flying aspect of the hobby takes extreme dedication and time, and I more or less lost the drive to go sit out there in the hot sun all day long and burn a gallon or two of fuel every day. I don't have it in me anymore. I did in the 70s and 80s, but I don't know. I just more or less like building them, passing these tips and tricks on to you, the camaraderie of going to the meets, whether I'm well liked or not. I'm sure I have my normal thumbs down detractor all the time. We got, let's see here, 13 thumbs up. That's great. 11 watchers. As I stated, it's very hard to talk for an hour without a subject. Fred G, what engines do you like to use? Okay, let's talk about motors. It doesn't matter whether it's nuclear powered, electric powered, rubber band powered, or squirrel powered. The object for a good engine run is consistency. So if you can make rubber band work last for the 7 minutes and have enough power to go through the overhead H, hey, more power to you. Nuclear power. So what engines do I like to use? Well, I'm an old school guy. I like the Super Tiger 60 runs. The port timing on that particular motor, if you use the right venturi, the right muffler, the right fuel, and the most importantly is there's only one propeller that works on it, and it's 13.6, and you run it at a certain RPM, and you do the same thing over and over again, the engine run is 100% repeatable. It'll never run away. It just purrs right along. So Super Tiger 60 is real good. For a smaller airplane, I find it real hard to beat this OS32F. However, the two motors I've just mentioned are no longer made, so you have to get them from the bay, or a friend. And repair parts are non-existent unless you go to Brian Gardner and get yourself a liner. The bearings can be had, but cases and little doodads are not available. So when choosing an engine, I guess the Evo 60 and the Evo 36 were a valid choice. The FP40 was a great engine. The OS FP40. I ran FP40 on a pipe. I ran FP40 on a muffler. They work real well. Try to get, if you're going to run any prolonged high RPM stunt run, you want to get something that's ball bearing. You don't want to get a bronze bushed engine because you're going to wear out that bronze bushing. People said, "Nah, it'll be fine." No, it won't. It won't last long if you're running it at you know, 10.5. But if you're going to do the old stunt run, any of the older motors, you know, the McCoys, the Foxes, everything works. The most important thing to a good stunt run is do the same thing every time. Same propeller, same fuel, same engine setting. Once you figure out where it is, where that sweet spot is, even the starting procedures, if you figure out your starting procedure where it's 1, 2, pulse through, then put the glow igniter on and then flip it. Well, that's what you do every single time. If you find that you have to, like I do when you can't get your fingers on my Venturi, we start them upside down, 3 drops of, you know, or fill the top head up on the blue line filter with fuel, pull it through, flip it through, put the glow plug on it, flip it till you got a bump, and then I back flip it and it'll start every time. You can ask guys who fly with me, aren't you going to tack it? Well, this is my tack right here. I like to hear the engine run at its sweet spot. Where the prop has not gone supersonic, you can't hear the tip blades breaking the sound barrier. Some guys like to fly like that, but if you ever hear a prop singing, that's because the prop tips are going faster than the speed of sound. And for me, that's too much RPM. You're running too flat a prop, but if that's what you like to do, go ahead. But you find the right prop pitch, the right RPM for the airplane that you're flying, and if you want to adjust lap speed, do it with line length. For every foot of line is 1/10 off lap speed. So let's say you're flying at 5-second lap and you let your airplane go at 9,500 and it's a 5-second lap with a 6-pitch prop. Well, Super Tigers like to be loaded. They like to have that load on the engine. So you want to keep that load on the engine, but you don't want to fly 5-second lap. Well, add 2 foot of line. Then you're going to be at 5.2. And anything between 5.2 and 5.5 is a good lap speed. So if you want to fly 5.5, add 5 foot of lines from 60 foot. Now we're starting at 60. If you're at 60 foot with a 5-second lap, but you want to fly 5.2, run to 62. You want to fly 5.5, run to 65 foot. The longest lines you can get, or that you can use, is 70 foot from the center of the handle to the center of the airplane, which, depending on the size of the airplane, is going to be around 67 foot. 68 foot, because you got 2 foot. Yeah, 68 foot. And that'll give you a 70-foot maximum line length. There's an advantage and a disadvantage when running long lines like that. Let's talk about the advantage. Especially for the bigger airplanes, they're not as cramped. When you make a maneuver, you turn into the square and you go fly up and then turn again. You have more time because there's more distance in the hemisphere on longer lines. So the airplanes look more aesthetically correct when you're flying along, and then at 45 turn, there's more time in that because the hemisphere is bigger. That's one advantage to longer lines. The disadvantage to longer lines, and especially if you're flying a big airplane, one of the big turds, 18 or 21 thousandths lines, is line bow. You're flying along, and when you look out at your airplane, the lines are lagging or latent. And what that relates to is when you give it up, that bow, that dragging line, is a slower reaction speed between you and the helm. Now, it's just milliseconds, but remember, when you're moving 55 miles an hour, 4 foot off the ground, coming over the top, and you're transitioning, I don't know how fast your brain transitions brain waves from wait, now, turn. You know, it's milliseconds. If you add time to that, another millisecond to that, you're going to be in the ground. And that's why it's called leading. When I'm flying the big airplanes, the PA-75s and the 65s and the stuff that has a lot of nose weight, it's called timing and leading. And I don't care for that aspect of flying where you're coming over the top and you go, well, I gotta wait, gotta start turning now. And when you say now, you've initiated the turn here at 30 degrees, and by the time you get down to 5 foot, it turns. And that's due to all that nose weight, the mass. And there is a difference in concentrated weight. If you concentrate all that weight up there in the nose, it feels like you've taken a concrete block and put it up there in the nose, and you pull on it to give it up, and it's like a turn just mushes right in the turn. And you fly these older airplanes or combat airplanes, they fly, well, I want to turn now, and they go right now. Bang. It's a different flying style. It's not for everybody, but that's what I like. That's what I remember. That's what I do best at. So that's what we're going to go. We're on that program this year. I was on the right track. I got distracted from visions of piped airplanes last year. But I think I've got the program back together. I just had to prove it to myself. Well, guys, that's basically all I got. I've been on 1 hour and 3 minutes. I hope you enjoyed the Tucker project. We did do a little on there. We did spray paint the numbers on the bottom. Got them on. Wasn't much of a how-to video, but we did get to talk airplanes for 1 hour. Hopefully, the next time I come back, we'll have this thing with some clear on it. Get a shine, start getting a shine going to it, and I get some ink on it, and maybe some decals. I think he gets a little white MC72 under the rudder back there. So I'm going to have to look at the pictures on the web. There's just not many good pictures of this airplane. A lot of models, but not too many good pictures of the real thing. So I want to thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, you can always ask me on the forum. Remember, now you have to log into the forum. And in order to be a member on the forum, you must use your real first and last name. I know you're not Joe Bellcrank. In order for me to get approved. And don't be mad if it takes me half a day to approve you, because I'm the only guy doing it. So, keep building, keep flying, keep watching the channel. Hopefully I can help you get better at model building. See ya.